We seem to be in some wild times here with MSTY, moving up, moving down, trading sideways, but that just keeps it interesting. We'll take a look at MSTY, MSTR, and Bitcoin, so stick around. Hello my friends, this is Legend. So we're going to take a look at MSTY, as it seems to be holding pretty strong at our support line that we had drawn in a while back. So let's just go ahead and slide over to the chart and let's talk about it. Alright, so here we are on the Webull chart and we are looking at MSTY, MSTY. Now as you can see, we did get a green candle today and we are up for the day. It went up 0.71% for the day. Pretty nice little move. But it didn't start off that way if you happen to see the markets this morning. And we can turn on the 5-minute interval and we can take a look just to show you if you didn't get a chance to see it. So right now I'm looking at the 5-minute chart on MSTY and we are on the actual. Okay, so this is the actual movement of the price. So the candles are reflecting that price movement. As you can see, we did come out and looks like we opened at around that $20.79. And you can, and as it started off this morning, it was just starting to drop. And it dropped all the way down to $20.53. So I thought, oh well, we're headed on down and maybe that'll give me a chance to buy a couple shares. And then I didn't get a chance to really pay much attention to it after that point. But as you can see, it really started moving up pretty much throughout the day. Did have a slight bit pullback around 1, 2 o'clock here. And then it shot right on back up. Looks like it had about a high of $21.15, which is actually what it closed at. So that was a very interesting moment. Because like I said, when I first saw it that morning after opening, around that 10 o'clock time, I just saw it dropping. And I thought, oh boy. But it did turn around. So that was a very interesting day. I'm going to flip it back to the day interval. And on the actual chart, we have just been basically trading sideways for a while now, right? I mean, we've gone down as low as that $17.10. And looks like we've hit a high of about $25.30. And currently sitting at $21.15. So it has just been all over the place. And before we take a look at MSTR, let's just switch the chart here to the adjusted chart. And let's just see where it sets as far as my buy points. So I'll just flip this over to the adjusted chart. And I use the adjusted chart when I'm going to look at my indicators. And already had the Bollinger Band on. But now you can see it is above that midpoint of the Bollinger Band. Earlier, it was under it. And that RSI2, it was getting really close to that 10. I know when I glanced at it, it was around about 12. But by the time that I got around to looking at it again after lunchtime, it had already started moving up. But we did get that nice green little candle right here. Got some green volume. And that MACD, whew, I tell you, wow, that thing is being tough, isn't it? It is just sitting right there on it. And it has been for a few days now. The momentum is still dropping ever so slightly, but not by much. So even if we do cross it, I'm not sure we've got the momentum to keep it up above it. But the same could be said about the negative momentum. There's not much of it either. So therefore, it may just kind of stay flat. And the RSI2, I'm looking for it to be down below that 10. So if we can get toward the bottom of that Bollinger Band on that candle, and we can get below the 10 on the RSI2, then I'll be looking to maybe buy a few shares. But of course, what pushes the momentum? What pushes the stock and the candles for MSTY? That's right, it's MSTR. So let's just go ahead and jump on MSTR and see what we got. All right, I've got a few lines here. Zooming in spaces them out and now they don't look so crowded. But as you can see, here's that candle for today. We went as low as 370.50 0.62. So it did drop down pretty good today. And that was after opening at 375.23. So it dropped $5 after opening, but it ended up going as high as 383.56 before closing at 382.87. Now, one thing to note here is MSTR went up 0.82% for the day. And as we were looking at before, MSTY had moved up 0.71%. So not too bad on the capturing that move up on MSTY. Way to go. MSTR had some green volume here. And again, that momentum, I tell you, it is just dying down. And of course, that's not so good for the options, because if it's not being moved up and down violently, then we won't get those high juicy premiums. And if we're not getting those high juicy premiums, then of course our distributions won't be as good either. And if you don't have a whole lot of movement, then when they are selling their calls, they're going to have to get closer to the money, which means closer to the actual stock price. And then if Bitcoin shoots up and causes MSTR to move on up, then it's going to shoot right past our calls. And then we would have to pay more to close those out. So that would be considered a little bit of a loss, right? Because you would have to end up paying more than you actually earned on the call, because it did go past your strike price. Now I'm also going to try to see if I can talk a little bit more about selling puts and possibly selling calls for options for those out there who don't really understand how it works. So we'll save that for another video, but I will be looking to try to put something together for that. But you can see here that MSTR is setting on top of our support line right here at that 373.86. It is sitting just so pretty right there on it. Our next resistance line being at that 403.90. And we'll see if we can't get some momentum to get on through that and bust through that. Would love to see that. But of course, nothing is guaranteed on that. But what causes MSTR to move? That's right, Bitcoin. So let's take a look at Bitcoin. And here we go. You can see we did have that high of that 112K up here. So that definitely is a resistance up there. But we've got a few other resistance lines to break through before getting back up to 112. So let's just go ahead and zoom right in here and check out to see where we stand. For today, did have a green candle. It is up 1.26%. Now note, we did have that green candle and it is showing that it's positive, right? It is up. But look at the momentum. The momentum is still growing to the negative side. So that may mean that this green candle may not have much strength to it. And the fact that that negative momentum did increase here, and we did have that rejection point of that MACD right here, and it did come down, and it is starting to separate slightly, could mean that we might be hitting this resistance line of that 105.9K, and we might be bouncing and getting rejected off of that and coming down a little bit. Now, nothing tells the future. We can only look at the past and try to understand where it possibly could be heading. And that's all we're doing here. No one knows the future, and no one knows where it's headed. All we can do is look at the past, look at the charts, and see if it can give us an idea of where it possibly could be going. What resistance lines it could be hitting. What support lines could be holding it up. And that's what we're showing here. Where this line was a support line is now a resistance line. So we've got to break back through that again. This line down here, this at 102.4, that is our support line. As you can see, we have two candles sitting quite nice right on that line. So that's a good thing. This candle did come down and tried to test this, but then it bounced right back up, and we are setting somewhere above that support, but we are coming very close to that resistance line right here at 105.9. I wish this momentum was decreasing so that hopefully we can start getting some positive momentum and we can get that cross on that MACD. But right now, we got rejected, and now we're getting a little bit of separation, meaning it could be moving away from that signal line. What we'd like to see it do is bottom out right here and then start turning right back up and try for round 2 to break through. But as you know, none of this is financial advice, and none of this is me telling you the future. This is only us looking at it and trying to figure out where we think it may be going. And why is that important? Well, because Mr. runs off of Bitcoin and Misty uses Mr. So as Bitcoin rises, Mr. could rise as well. And if Mr. rises, then Misty, chances are, will rise as well. So it's almost like a little domino effect. So that's why you have to end up looking at the main engine, and that main engine is Bitcoin. But then you have your first car there being Mr., and Misty is the caboose. So unfortunately, I did not get my chance to purchase more shares of Misty. And I know a lot of you out there are going to probably tell me I should buy them now. And maybe you're right, but I have to stick with my plan. And my plan and method is to buy once it's at the bottom of the Bollinger Band and that RSI 2 drops below the 10. And if it doesn't, then I am in my recouping my capital phase. So I'm always doing that if I'm not buying. So either way, I have a plan. Something is working, and it's all part of my plan. But once I do get Misty paid off, then I can use those distributions, and then I can start buying more Misty if I would like, and it would be no additional capital out of my bank account to purchase those shares, as I would have earned all of my capital back that I have invested, and I'm only using YieldMax distribution money to buy more of Misty, and I can use just a percentage of it to buy more Misty if I want, and use another percentage of it to buy Mr., and then use a third portion of it to buy VOO. So I can do whatever I want to at that point. But my ultimate goal is to get Misty paid off, meaning to get my capital back. There's just something about getting things paid off and then using your earnings to build it instead of using your money to build it. So that's just my thoughts. How are you doing, Misty? How are you handling it in your portfolio? Are you in the accumulating phase and you're just throwing all of it into it, rolling your distributions right into it? I know there's a lot of people doing that, and that's fine if that is your plan. Don't let me tell you how to handle your portfolio, because it's your portfolio. You know the risks, and you're willing to accept those risks, just as I am. But I think we can all agree that to have these high rewards, there's bound to be some higher risk. And as long as you're managing it properly, and everybody manages it differently, and that's okay, then you will be able to sleep at night because you're not investing any more into it than you're willing to lose, as it is a one stock ETF. And you just don't want to put all your eggs into one basket. And I think we can all agree to that. And I'm sure a lot of you are well diversified out there. So I think I'm going to wrap it up right there. I appreciate everybody who has subscribed, liked my videos, commenting to my videos. It is a wonderful time. I do try to read all of the comments, and I do try to answer most of them as well. I do get behind at times, so I apologize for that. But there's a lot of good people out there, and I love to hear their opinions and how they're handling their Misty ETF along with the rest of their portfolio, because we're all here to learn from each other. And I also have to give a special shout out to all you out there who have bought me a coffee. I'm super happy about that, and I can't thank you enough for it. So don't forget to like and subscribe to this video. It'd be much appreciated. And as always, I am not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. Please do your own due diligence before you get into any stock plays. And until next time, legend out.